Hey everybody, I want to introduce you to our latest sponsor, Salt Electrolytes. Feeling depleted after a tough grappling session? Well, Salt targets your depleted electrolyte levels with a boost of hydration and health. It gives your body the baseline recovery it needs. Salt contains 6 different electrolytes with a touch of iodine to help maintain a healthy thyroid. No sugar, no dyes, no bullshit. Go earn your salt. Hey everybody, and welcome to another episode of the BJJ Foxcast. I am your host, Alex Martinez, and I'm here with my co-host, Alex Tojo Cray.
Howdy.
Special guests today are Granger and Shayleh Moffet out of Thatcher, Arizona. Welcome to the show, guys.
The bustling metropolis.
The bustling metropolis of Thatcher, Arizona.
Thank you for having us.
They are both black belts in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. They own a school called Charge Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. Is that right?
That's correct.
And we've met several times. I mean, we see each other all the time at competitions, and we've been trying to set up this podcast for, 2 years now.
Sounds about
safe
right.
number. Safe number.
And here we are, guys. Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Thanks, Alex. Thanks,
so
Jojo.
let's talk about Thatcher. Did you guys grow up there?
I did not. I grew up in Scottsdale area.
Okay.
Yeah, but he grew up
Did he
here.
drag you there, that bastard?
No, we actually met in a town called Morenzi. My ex dragged me there.
Okay. Okay.
Didn't work out. I was doing a little bit of judo up there. Found out he was doing jiu-jitsu, and that was actually more my passion.
Okay.
And so that's kind of how we met.
Yeah.
Wow. So you're in Morenci. Were you guys like associated with like the mines and all that? I've always been fascinated by that.
Yes, he is.
You work for the mines?
I do. I do.
No shit. What do you do?
So when I first started, I was a haul truck driver.
Okay.
And driving the big monster haul trucks, getting loaded. Like these things are massive. Tires are like 12 foot tall. Like,
whoa.
Yeah. You think you go to a monster truck and you walk down a monster truck show and you walk down the field and you see all them trucks. Like the tires that we run are the top of the monster truck tires.
Whoa.
Yeah, they're enormous. I've been there for almost 20 years. Next year will be 20 years. I finally got moved down to Safford, so I'm closer to home. But
Okay.
But I did start out in the mine, and I spent a lot of time out there. It's cool work. It is really cool.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it's definitely worth. If you're in the area, we'll run up the trail and go check out the mine and look at the overlook and kind of like talk about stuff and everything like that. It's really neat.
Are they all active still, or?
Morenci's still active, and Safford's running good too. So everything's
Okay.
still moving.
What are they mining for?
Copper's the majority of it.
Okay.
They catch molybdenum. I can't say it.
Okay. Okay. Is that another type of metal?
It is.
Okay.
It is.
Wow.
Interesting.
How did you get into the mines?
So before I was a police officer, and early in life,
I knew I didn't like you. There's something about you. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
that was short lived. It was almost 3 years. Learned a good part about life, and then if I ever got a chance to go back into it, I would definitely go back with a different mindset.
Sure.
But going from being a police officer and going to the mine, it was like, hey, I needed something to support my family at the time, and like I knew that's what I needed to do, was something that was going to be big, I guess, and that was going to be consistent, that had insurance and all that stuff. So I hired on and been there ever since. So.
That's awesome.
Yep.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And then coming from Scottsdale, when it didn't work out in Morenci, right?
Mhm, correct.
Were you like, I'm just going to go back to Scottsdale, and then he ruined it?
So
You can say
with-
yes.
maybe to some degree, but divorces are messy.
Yeah. Yeah.
There's children involved.
Yeah.
It's not exactly easy to leave.
Yeah.
I was already pursuing my master's for my nurse practitioner and working with a OBGYN out there.
Oh, cool.
So luckily that worked out for me as well, and we were able to kindle our relationship.
That's awesome. Yeah. Yeah. It's funny you say that, and I don't know if I'm going to, I don't know, this guy, nobody listens to the show anyway.
Hold on.
But when Amy and I got together, I had 3 kids, she had 2. So we bought this house because part of her divorce decree from her ex was that she had to live in this area,
Yeah.
or else she had to provide all the transportation. It was stupid.
wow.
It was stupid. Like, you're going to tell her where to live,
Yep.
but like, we didn't mind it because like she grew up here. She went to Dobson High. We're in her neighborhood, and my in-laws live like 4 miles away, which is not always awesome. But anyway, no, I'm just kidding. No, they're great.
There are worse in-laws.
No, my in-laws are great. But yeah, I can totally see that. Yeah. So you were doing judo.
I was doing I had started out actually in Phoenix, briefly did some jiu-jitsu with a guy named Mark Z.
Okay.
Loved it. Ended up in Morenzi. Had done a little bit of judo, maybe enough to kind of teach it. Wanted to stay in the martial arts, so I was doing a little bit of judo, trying to teach, the local high school kids, just trying to keep up with doing some of the sport.
Yeah.
And then found out, there's a guy doing jiu-jitsu. So I was like, well, I'd rather be a student, and I love jiu-jitsu. So I checked it out.
So did you already have a school then?
So let's see. That's kind of the start of around how Full Charge kind of came around.
Okay.
Kind of our origin story.
Yeah.
We started up there in Morenci, and there was an old MMA gym there that they would do fights in Silver City. So I just reached out to the guy. I was like, I needed mat space. Like in my earlier marriage, like jiu-jitsu was kind of like I don't know how to explain it.
Sore subject?
Sore subject.
Yeah.
A good way to talk about it.
Yeah.
So I knew if I needed to, I wouldn't be able to go down to Tucson, or I didn't have, I wanted to continue training. Like jiu-jitsu was that big of an impact on my life that I knew I needed to continue training. So either I figure out a way to go to Tucson and Phoenix and train, or I start teaching where I'm at.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's kind of funny, like you get addicted, right?
Yeah.
And so you find a way to.
There's
to
no
do
other way
it.
to put it.
Yeah.
Yeah, you figure it out, right?
Yeah.
You
How
find a
far
way
is
to do it.
Tucson from Thatcher? Is it about the same?
It's
for
a
Phoenix?
good 2.5 to 3 hours.
Now Tucson is at least 2 hours.
Okay.
We used to be able to get down to De Brazil. That's where my professor, Martin Escobar's academy's at. Easily hour and a half. But now with traffic and more people down there, it's 2 hours easy. And you're trying to push it with speed and everything. So
Yeah, I'm still trying to figure out why Tucson doesn't have a loop.
Yeah, their
just
highway system sucks.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
They have the I-10. That's all you get.
Yep.
Everything else is surface streets. Yeah.
But I mean, have you've driven through town? It's like they would have to destroy houses to put a loop in.
Yeah, and it's all their construction is really convenient too.
You mean it's constant construction?
Yeah. So tell me about Thatcher, Arizona. Like, how many people live in Thatcher?
Have you counted?
we have not counted, but
so you have this area. It's Safford, Thatcher, Pima.
Yep.
All with it really should just be one town. I
Yeah.
think the whole population was at
I
30,000.
think that's probably a safe number. I would say it's a safe number.
So 30,000 in the area. But Thatcher might be what, 10?
15, I don't
15,
know.
10,
Okay.
something like that.
Okay.
think
So
it's-
small
Yeah.
community. Everybody
Yeah.
knows
Definitely.
everybody's
Everybody
business.
knows everyone
Definitely.
for sure.
Yeah, that's cool.
That
For
bubble.
sure.
Yeah.
So my ex-wife came from the UP in Michigan, and her family was they were all iron ore miners, and the town might have been 9 blocks. You know what I mean? And they're all, everybody's cousins, and everybody knows each other. They all went to the same school. They all work, or they all volunteer at the same firehouse. You know what I mean? Right
Yeah.
down the street.
Yep, volunteer.
And at first glance, you're like, how can anybody live here? But dude, if you can make a good living in a small town and just be
Sure.
close to your family and not have to worry about like commuting 3 hours or whatever it is a day,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? That's a pretty awesome life, man. That's why I
Yes.
wanted to get you guys on the show. Cause like when people are opening jiu-jitsu schools in the Valley, they're like, man, I don't know if I can, blah, blah, blah. They get that imposter syndrome. We all get it. Right. And I tell them like, hey, there's 6 million people here. Dude, if you can't get 300 to like you, there's something wrong with you. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I mean, when you get into that small community, like everybody knows you. Like if anybody even talks about jiu-jitsu, they go to you, which I think is awesome. And so that's one piece that I want to talk about. But the other piece is like, when you talk about, it's a little different today, but let's talk about 10 years ago. When we all started, you probably started about 10, 15 years ago. When you saw a black belt on the mats, you were like, holy crap. And then you saw 2 of them and they rolled together. Everybody stopped moving.
Yep.
We just watched, right?
Yeah.
When we came up there, we were the highest ranked guy in the room was a 2-stripe blue belt, And if there was a purple belt in the room besides, Wilbur before he got injured, but if there was a purple belt in the room, they were visiting from another school, right? So it's so rare to have black belts in the room, right? I mean, now we have 15, but that's different.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you guys have 2 black belts in your household in a small town. That's so freaking legit, guys. That's awesome. Like, how hard was it sticking to it? Because you guys raise a big. How many kids do you have?
7 altogether.
7 all
Seven
in.
altogether.
Yeah. So 7 kids, and you have a full-time jobs.
Yep.
You have the academy to run.
Yep.
How? Let's start with the kids. Do they do jiu-jitsu? Do some of them do it?
They do jiu-jitsu.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah. You guys looked at each other like, well,
I would say it's ours between us two definitely have more of a passion.
okay.
Yeah.
The ones that we had with our previous partners, kind of wax and wane with the passion.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you go to give them a stripe and they're bawling because you know they're getting a stripe.
And then
the next day you're like, you need to go to practice, and they're like, I don't want to go. You know, I think even
It's
like
complicated,
it
yeah.
is. The older ones is definitely harder. We kind of made this rule like, hey, everyone has to at least get a blue belt.
Yeah.
And so right now we
And
have
that's fair.
Yes.
That's
and
totally
so we
fair.
have a 17-year-old, and man, you know, it's really sad because she's a great athlete.
Yeah.
She got her blue belt, and she could be so great, and I'm so happy she at least has that blue belt. But you know, when I'm like, hey, let's go train, she's like, well, I have my blue belt. Because now it's like her choice.
See, you set the bar too low.
And so, but you know what? But at least she has that blue belt, and I think that it's almost like riding a bike. You know, she will always have so much ability. I know that in this scary world, she at least has some confidence in taking care of herself. And I think that, you know, maybe as an adult, maybe she will find her way back to it.
Yeah. Well, you know what I found with my stepson, Zach. He and I have a great relationship now. We didn't when you know we were growing up. Basically, when he was growing up, he came into my life when he was like 10 years old, and I always felt like, you know, I felt some resentment come from him. Therefore, I became resentful, and we kind of cold-shouldered each other, and you know, and we had this relation. Sometimes we were cool, and sometimes, you know, but it was always like week on, week off with the dad, and you always have that time period when they're back, when they're like, I want to strangle them, right?
The transition.
There's a little transition period. But what I realized now that I'm a little bit older and less wise, I realized that I felt that resentment coming from him, like he just wouldn't participate in the family stuff that I wanted him to participate in. And I think this is what I'm thinking. It was almost like he was, I hate to use the word betraying, but I almost felt like he was betraying his dad's trust by liking me.
Yes, I think we deal with that a lot.
Yeah, that's pretty fair to say, right?
I think
so.
And now that now that he's older, and there isn't that, you know, going back and forth to dad's, like he lives on his own, you know, he comes here and visit. We have a much better relationship because now he kind of feels free to be okay with me. You know what I mean? And it just, gosh, it's so difficult. And you know, I'm hard-headed, and you know, I'm kind of like, why aren't you doing this? Like, this is crazy. You know what I mean? That kind of guy. Yeah. But it took me a while to get there. So I'm sure that kind of plays into the doing jiu-jitsu or not, right? Because
I see it with my older son, with Jasher, now that he's graduated, and it's just, we feel that betrayal a little bit, and we're always like maybe tiptoeing around it. Like, how much does he want to be in my life? How much do I want to be in his? Yeah. Like, the want wants to be there, but like, you don't want to like seem like you're pushing it onto him. Right. And the last couple of times we've invited him to birthday parties and stuff like that, and like, he's been more than happy, and like showed up. And this, actually the last time for Jet's birthday, like there was a lot of comments from the family like, hey, like Jasher come around, and he was like talking to people and like completely a different person. And like, he's gonna be 21. So like, you get that maturity as you get older. Yeah. And kind of get out on your own and start learning. Maybe not learning, but experiencing life. Yeah. And so it was really cool. But that betrayal piece, like, I totally see that, and it's been a challenge, man.
Yeah.
It's a challenge.
It's rough, man. It's rough. Yeah. So that's tough.
I would say the other thing that's tough as a couple that does jiu-jitsu, man, sometimes it's hard to balance being a mom and the passion for jiu-jitsu. Yeah. So we definitely wanted more children. Yeah. So, you know,
it was on the list.
Yeah, it was on the list. Yeah. So, you know, we get together, we have, you know, we don't have our gym at first, and we just have like a mat in my living room. Yeah. And we're training all the time. We're doing competitions, and we're just like kicking ass. I think he was a blue, I was a blue belt. Yes. And, you know, I'm a blue belt just kicking ass. He's a purple belt just kicking ass, you know, and we want a baby, you know. Yeah. And so I'm like, well, you need a gym, honey, because I'm not going to be able to train with you.
Yeah.
And I have my baby, and it's funny because it's like, to some degree though, I lost a piece of him because that was, it's like, hey, that's my partner, but I'm home now with his baby, and now you have all these other partners. It's like, well, wait, you're like, it was funny. It was almost a different like way of cheating on me. Wow. You know what I mean? Like seriously.
He's like, oh shit.
Seriously, that's how it really was.
But it's coming out.
It totally was.
Yeah.
It totally was. And then coming back to it, you know, getting back in shape again, and but now this baby's like 2 and 3, and she's so cute, and you know they manipulate you to having another one, and so then you have another one, and so there is, you know, I don't know, for the females out there, it is definitely a struggle back and forth.
Did you have to like walk yourself off the ledge on that one? Just kind of like talk yourself out of hating him?
I mean, he's always, you know, come back sort of thing, but you know, you also have to be that mom.
Yeah.
But there's that I don't know, there's just that balance you have to figure out.
That's tough, man.
Yeah,
That's
it is. I mean, when
sacrifice.
yeah.
There's some sacrifice that goes into it, and people don't talk about that enough. They try to be the positive side.
Yeah.
Balance. But there's some sacrifices to it. Like being a mom, taking care of the house, making sure the kids are fed. And before, when we first opened the academy, like I was still working in Morenci, so like the schedule was really weird.
Yeah. Yeah.
So like we would just train on my days off, and I'd be working graveyards, day shifts. So like the schedule definitely was tough.
Yeah.
And then trying to help her, trying to run the academy, just opening and everything like that. And it was a challenge, but
it's like you have a passion for it to continue it for yourself, and then you have your students, and you have then this obligation to your students.
Yeah.
You know, you can't stop because your students are relying on you. And you even see like a difference. You know, this kid comes in and he's just, you know, very unsure of themselves. A couple months later, they're walking with confidence. So, you know, part of it is like, well, you know, we're having struggles because we're trying to balance everything.
Yeah.
It's like, you know, and he would even, you know, there would be struggles. And he's like, well, do we need to stop this? And it'd be like, well, part of us is like, yeah, we need to stop this because there is a lot of balance. But then we can't, because now we've invited other people.
Yeah.
You feel like you'd be letting them down, kind of thing.
Yeah.
Do most people in that area have kind of a weird schedule because there's all the mine stuff? And
so there is, just kind of touch on about the economy of like the area we live. Like the copper mine is there's 2 mines. We got the Morenci mine, we got the Safford mine, and then there's a lot of prisons around there. I think we got the federal prison, and then I think there's 3 state prisons kind of like within this radius. There's one out there it's Fort Grant, and then there's another one out there it's the Graham unit, and I think it's Bonita. There's like 3 different states. There's prisons, and then the farming, right? The cotton.
Yep.
Ton of cotton out there. I wouldn't say there's cattle, but a ton of cotton out there. There's a lot of farmers out there.
Yeah.
But yeah, weird schedules. Like there's a lot of correctional schedules that are swing shifts. The 3/8 where you run the morning, and then you run the swing, and then you run the night shift.
Yeah.
And then you got the mine running their awkward schedule. So yeah.
Do they blow shit up at the mines?
Dude, every day. It is awesome. If you ever, when I was out in the pit, and if they're shooting on my mountain, like I would make it a point every day to go and see that blast.
Yeah.
Because it is awesome.
Yeah.
There's nothing like it to see it just freaking destroy but the way it wasn't just a completely like obliterate stuff. There was like a sequence to it. So like it's almost beautiful, so to speak. Just the way it's sequenced, because all the research behind like blasting techniques and like timing and stuff, like they're trying to get the material to a smaller size so that way it can get through the crusher a lot sooner. Or even when it gets to the pad, like it can get through the leaching. But like it's sequenced. It's not like one big old poof and it goes. Like if you watch it in slow motion and if you see them out in the field, like it's like a ripple effect. It starts on one and then like zippers across the whole thing. And it is, I am never bored to watch one.
It sounds like surgical. You know what I mean? Like precise what they're doing with the blast.
When they're handling it, and the timing is cool because it's all digital, right?
Yeah.
But like when they're loading it, like you're kind of like they got signs up like no smoking inside of here. Like, oh, you're only allowed. Like these people have ATF like backgrounds because they're messing with explosives and stuff like this, boosters and stuff like that. So they're it's getting everything prepped is interesting, is cool. But then when at the end of the day, my favorite parts were when the days would run long and they're blasting like 400 or 500 holes a day, and sometimes they would shoot late. And if there's an ATF or there's some rule that like you can't shoot at night.
Okay.
So if they ever got to that, they would call it sleep the shot. So they would just keep everything coned off. They put somebody out there on night shift and like make sure no one's going in and out of the shot, and then first thing in the morning they'll pop it. But if you catch a blast at the end of the day towards like when the sun's starting to go down, like you can see like the little pop, the little flashes of each hole going off.
Yeah.
And it does that cool little like zipper across the pattern. It's fun, man. Blasting it's cool.
That's so cool. Yeah. When I went to see when we'd go see my in-laws in the UP, you'd hear this loud horn, and then boom, you just hear it in the distance. Like, holy crap, that was awesome.
Yeah.
But that's the middle of nowhere. They probably blast whenever the hell they want. There's who's going to complain that 20 people that live in town? Who cares? Yeah.
Was it an ATF rule you said, or is it just like a policy?
I think it might be a mine thing. It might be MSHA. I think it's MSHA because they have OSHA, but then they have MSHA to help protect more minor stuff.
Gotcha.
And it might be an MSHA regulation that they don't allow shooting at night.
Okay. Yeah.
That might be it.
Yeah.
I feel like it'd be even less safe to like leave it overnight, because then there's the opportunity for people to get in there.
Well, everything's burned off and you have a lot less people working night shift, and they know like you're going to stay the hell out of the place, man.
Right.
What's really is the lightning. If the lightning comes into play,
oh shit,
yeah. So, so if that happens, like the monsoon season come through, and like they have lightning detection systems out there. So like if it's inside of certain radius and like it's red, yellow, green, definitely if it's red, like we're clearing like whatever the blast radius would be for that day. Like if it's in the pit and they're mining over here, and we slept a shot at night, like if it goes in the red, like they're clearing the pit. Because you never know, like Mother Nature might send a lightning bolt down there, freaking like that. I don't know if it'll actually happen, but they probably have had it happen in the past. That's how the law, rules, and policies get implemented in the mining industry is because they're written in blood, man.
Yeah.
So someone died because of that.
Yeah.
So.
Wow, that's wild. So I want to talk about, because you guys have an added layer compared to what Amy and I go through with the academy. So there's a lot of times when, you love to compete, I love it. And, you want to get ready for competition, but then there's always this clash, right? There's like a clash between like competitor and coach. Like, will my competitors have enough coaches out there? Should I not compete so I could be there for them? Right. And then you may have something where that competitor and coach are colliding. Well, then something happens in the business where like, I don't know. With me, it's like, oh shit, we got a roof leak. I got to go to the academy. You know what I mean? So the three tend to collide at the worst times. Mm-hmm. But you guys have the added layer. Now you have kids, right? That maybe they want to play volleyball or soccer or something like that. How do you guys navigate all of those things that you're going through? Because I know you guys are super passionate about competing, and that's the only part that I see, right?
So we've kind of developed a plan of, our kids like soccer.
Okay.
So we try not to compete, or at least coach. During for competitions during soccer season in the fall. So I mean, we're if our students want to go compete, that's great.
Yeah.
But we might not be there to coach.
To support them.
During the soccer season.
Is it just kind of you communicate the schedule to like your students?
Yeah. So from this month to this month, we're available.
Yeah.
For these tournaments, but kind of during this soccer season, we're trying to kind of balance that, like you're saying, that our kids' other passions. You know?
That's smart.
I think that communication thing is what's like people understand, like, you all have lives outside of jiu-jitsu.
Yeah.
Well, maybe not all students.
And I think, over the years, I mean, he's getting ready to promote a black belt this weekend.
Yeah, Draper.
And Draper.
Nice.
And really, I mean, and Draper, during some of these years that were difficult, he would step up and coach some classes. So, I mean, you develop more students, and they're there to help you out.
Yeah.
So you get to lean on more of your students for help. And
yeah.
So,
good.
Yeah, I guess that's
soccer season, man. It's and that's another thing about being in a small community, which is kind of could be a plus and minus, a burden sometimes. Because they don't get enough volunteers. Like AYSO is completely volunteer based, at least I'm aware of. Maybe higher up in the levels it's probably paid. But anyway, at our basic level here, like running coaches and coordinators to run the divisions and the teams and getting enough coaches and everything, like that's where our other passion is like, I want to coach my kids.
Yeah.
Like, and you want to be out there because like you see sometimes the coaching that does happen, you're like, I think I can do a better job.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, and maybe that's my ego coming in, but like I was never a soccer player, but like I will research the heck out of soccer and I will find drills. And that was one thing about during the AYSO is they talked about is like, they don't need like players, like they need people to be able to like run practices and just make it fun.
Yeah.
But yeah, I want to have a strategy, man. Like we're running drills, like we're running, like trying to work on technique and ball handling skills to get these kids developed. And I found that a lot of times that's basically development. Like, can your kid run?
Yeah.
Can your kid stop and change direction without falling over?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's just teaching those things and those kids will freaking eat it up.
Oh yeah. Yeah. No, I coached my daughter's soccer team when she was 9, maybe 10. And we were the worst team in the league.
All about the coaching.
For 2 seasons, we were the worst. We were the worst team in the league. And I had maybe 5 or 6 kids come back for the second season, and I think we scored 1 goal the second season. First season we got blown out every game. Every game. I couldn't put enough people on defense. Right. It was horrible. But they had programs like they had a coaches training. You could go and like they teach you how to coach and teach you how to run, practice and stuff like that. So I went to those. I was maybe me and one other person went. And then our third season, these kids start coming around with mustaches. These little bitty kids that I've been coaching for a couple of years, they come back, hey coach. I'm like, oh, we're going to be good this year. And we murdered that year, dude. Yeah, it was awesome. There was one kid showed up. He had not been on our team the past 2 seasons. He showed up for the third season and he was like a club baseball shortstop. So he had hands. I'm like, you're my goalie. He goes, well, I want to score goals. I'm like, good luck with that. You better kick hard.
Yeah.
Because you're going to be the goalie. And dude, he was like a wall. He was awesome. So quick. And so we didn't get a lot goals scored on us. And I think that season, our third season, I think all of my kids, including the goalie, scored a goal.
That's cool.
Yeah.
That's awesome, man.
Yeah. So we were just destroying those bastards that beat us the past 2 seasons. But yeah.
Growing pains.
Yeah. Growing pains. Yeah. But that's, yeah, like you said, I was a practicer in soccer because the team that I was on was really good, so I didn't get on the field. So I wasn't like a great player, but I basically just learned how to coach.
So your kids that kind of like wax and wane from jiu-jitsu, are they getting into soccer? Is that why they're just like they'll switch to soccer mode? Or
I think it's just the season, right? Because we still expect them to train jiu-jitsu, especially the little ones. We'll specifically talk about Jade. She's our 8-year-old. In our competition season, right? It's when it's basically January to, we're going to say August, because that's when Masters happen in Vegas. But then after August, there's a couple of them. I think there'll be a couple Gustavo tournaments that might pop in. I think they got 3 more at the end of the year. And those will be like, hey, like, if you want to go to those, like Shay said, like, we'll get you ready at class, but like being able to support you at the tournament. All my Saturdays, our Saturdays are jammed up because we got 4 kids playing. 4 kids playing. We're coaching 2 teams, and it's Jesus. Yeah, it is. It is wild.
Yeah.
Do you guys have different clocks out there? Is that how you have that much time?
No, we don't change the clocks at all.
Oh my God. Yeah.
It's literally crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
People always ask us like, how do you do it? And like,
You just
Just
do
do
it.
it.
just do it.
Just do
man.
it.
Like we just
Yeah,
do
just
it.
totally do it.
People depend on us, and I don't know if it's feel obligated, but I guess it's for me. Maybe it's a sense of service.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we would like more help. Like if I see other parents out there on Saturdays watching their kid, like we're both full time and we run a jiu-jitsu academy and we're help coaching your kid. Like you can't find, you only work. Like you can't do anything in the afternoon to coach like a couple practices.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like it's kind of frustrating, but like, I think there's a saying, if it has to be done, it has to be me or something like
Right.
that.
Yeah.
I think
If
I've heard
it
something like
has to
that.
be, it's up to me kind of thing.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
I guess just
So-
trying to be a good example.
Yeah. So what about, so you found jujitsu through him. How did you
Not
find?
technically.
Okay.
He wasn't
yes.
listening.
No.
I was.
Wondering when
no.
I was waiting
No,
for this story.
initially it was actually through my ex to some
That's right.
degree.
Sorry. Yeah.
I was coming home, I was cocktailing, and I was attacked.
Oh, wow.
And he was kind of dibble-dabbling with some jiu-jitsu with a guy named Mark Z. And after I was attacked, he's like, I think you should try jiu-jitsu. And so I went and tried it, and I was like, this is awesome.
Yeah.
You know? So I guess it was like a bad situation that kind of then turned into something good.
Yeah.
So that is originally how I got into it.
Okay.
Is that Mark? Is he still training?
He's passed. He was one
Oh,
of
okay.
Megaton's original, I think, black belts.
Oh, interesting.
Oh, wow.
Okay.
Yeah. So he originally got me into it, and then ended up in Morenzi and all that.
Yeah.
And so then I got back into it, meeting Granger.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Just after having Lila,
Mhm.
2011.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think I gave birth to my third, and
Yep.
11 weeks postpartum, I found out about him, and I was like, I'm gonna go try it.
Wow. That's cool.
Did you guys?
That's cool.
Did you start training with him before you guys started dating?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
And so then I think that he was separated from his wife.
Things have
And
been
several-
rocky for
yes,
a
and
while.
so several months later, things had been rocky in my marriage for a long time, but whatever.
Yeah.
And so we were still trying to train jujitsu, and then once I left my husband, he started calling me a little more.
Yeah.
I was gonna say, who made the move? Who was it?
It was mutual.
That's so funny.
I was like, I'd buy both. Whichever one of you
either
said
way.
it. Yeah,
Either
it was
way.
fun. I'd believe it.
Yeah. And how about you? How'd you find it?
So I found it before going to the police academy. 2003, I think it was. I was getting ready to go. That was when 9/11 happened.
Mhm.
Bunch of my buddies from school were in the military, and like that sense of service, like what can I do? Like, do I go to the military? What do I do? And I was like, what if I can add value, like with the guys that are gone, like help protect the home front?
Yeah.
So I had a cousin that was going through an academy for Pima, and I kind of I guess I might as well try it. So
Yeah.
I eventually got into the police academy, and like when you start working around those type of people, like I started popping up around the department, and like those guys started, hey, we're training. Like, oh, what's this training about? Like, I don't know what's going on. I'm just gonna jump in and see what this is all about. And I kind of tried wrestling my junior year. I was kind of the nerd during high school. Like I did the basketball manager, just taking all the stats. And
Oh, there you go.
everything
All right.
It got me out of the house, and my true love was football at the time. So like it got me out of the house into the gym like every day. So I was lifting all the time in high school
Yeah.
because I'd go to basketball practice, freaking sweep the floors, whatever, collect the basketballs, but I'm in there pumping weights.
Yeah.
So like never wrestled. Tried it my junior year because let's just see what happens. Yeah, I freaking tried it for a month. Freaking got smoked and just like chicken winged armed and freaking bent all around up upside down. I was like, I tried it like too late in the game, right? Especially junior year, too late in the game.
Yeah.
So going into learning this jiu-jitsu no-gi stuff, I'm like, what is this? Let me just try it. And like freaking fell in love with it, man. It was cool.
That's cool, man.
And
Where was that?
that was in Safford.
Okay.
In Safford.
Okay.
Eric
the
Walker.
MMA school.
No, that was in Morenci.
Okay.
This was back in 2003. So 2003, Eric Walker, he was a blue belt at the time, and he was it was his academy school, Warrior Spirit, and it was him. He was another police officer. There was another police officer that would train with us, and then just some in and out people that were kind of like just like a small group. It never really was like a big thing until later they opened up a small school and started having classes and everything. So
how far is Morenci from Thatcher, Safford area?
An hour.
about an hour. 60
Okay,
minutes.
so it's not like next door. Okay.
No.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll tell you that's just really beautiful about our school, and I think it's a reflection of our families. Our kids, we have one boy and 6 girls, and so we have all these little girls in our classes. Our children's class and our teen class is half, if not sometimes like 3/4 like females.
Yeah,
we have a
that's
lot
cool.
of girls in our classes, and I even see more so in ours. And when I go to other academies, I'm just amazed how many females we have in our class. And I'm sure it's helpful that we have little girls, and then they invite their little female friends to come and participate. And I'm a women's health nurse practitioner, so I'm very much into promoting women's strengths and stuff like that. And it's just it's really beautiful in such a small community that we have so many little girls coming out, to try jiu-jitsu. I hope it continues.
Yeah, I love
Why do you
it.
think that is? Because I've noticed that too.
Yeah, we have a lot of
do you?
we have a
Do
lot
you?
of girls.
Do you have a lot of girls? I don't know. I
Yeah.
guess
And it seems like the phenoms are always the girls.
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
ones that are really
lately, yeah.
good.
I don't know. And they say that, little girls, were a little more technical initially, as we're developing. So I think that's where that is.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I work with a doctor, a female doctor. Her brothers all got to grow up doing judo, and her parents wouldn't let her do it because she was a girl. Well, times have changed.
Yeah.
So I think we're just seeing a reflection of times changing.
Yeah.
Sure.
And I think that's just, it's beautiful.
Yeah. Well, we started a women's class. We had a women's class. It was like a typical women's class. It's tucked into a corner. It's on a Saturday for an hour, and no one ever shows up and whatever. But Amy and I decided we're going to do like a marquee time slot. We're going to do Tuesday, Thursday, 6 p.m. See what happens. It's been gangbusters, dude. That's been awesome. 16 to 20 women. And it comes from the kids class, because the little girls are doing jiu-jitsu and like, hey mom, you should try it. And they see this like really safe environment with a badass coach, and not me, badass coach.
Neva.
Neva. And she just brings this like crazy energy to the room whenever she shows up, and it's infectious, and the women just want to do it. And they show up. It's funny. They one of the moms will show up like she's got 4 kids in tow. She's got her sweater on. She's carrying this bag, but she has her gi pants on. She's ready to go. Yeah.
I'd say that's the one thing that we're lacking is, and we're asked about it. We can't fit that into the schedule.
It's hard.
Yet.
It's hard.
Yeah, we gotta someday maybe.
I had to basically I pulled 2 fundamentals classes to do 2 women's class. It was a hard decision.
Yeah.
Because the fundies classes is like, that's where the action is. That's where everybody shows up.
Yeah,
right?
fundies is easy. It takes like a week to learn the fundies.
Yeah. but we made that commitment, and it was the right choice.
Cool.
Yeah, it's the right choice. Yeah. So okay, so tell me about when did you start competing in jiu-jitsu?
So competing, I started probably kind of early.
Okay.
When I first started, I don't know if I was first started or not, but white belt.
Yeah.
We had an in-house competition down there at De Brazil, and then I think there was one of Gustavo's earlier competitions. I don't even know what school it was at.
Westwood High School.
Westwood High
I
School?
don't know. It might have been before then.
Really?
Oh, wow.
That's before us.
Yeah, that's before my time.
I think it was around maybe 2004. I don't know if it was just, but like payment was like by credit card, like you had to send a check. Like there was hardly any website. Like there was no website to sign up. It had to be a call. Like I don't remember how I signed up for this thing.
You could probably show up and sign up on the spot.
I think it might have been
Yeah,
like that.
Yeah.
And it was funny because I was just talking about this competition a couple of weeks ago at the academy. But like I got a haircut, like I got a mohawk, and like the whole like living, like doing the jiu-jitsu thing. And I got freaking roasted, man.
Me too, man. Me
Roasted. I got caught in the what they call it, the rotisserie in Portuguese, where you go from back mount to mount. Back to mount.
Yeah.
So first time competing, I'm rolling around and I get mounted and I flip them over, and somehow we get back to the middle, and this is when they had the flip scores.
Yep. Oh yeah.
They had the flip scores.
Yeah.
And I'm looking, I'm like, man, I could have sworn I got 2 points out of that. And then at the end, it was like 20-0. I was just like, I got freaking roasted, man. I was like,
that was just a reversal.
oh, that was it. Yeah. I was like, all right, cool. That was it. And then, yeah, I think that's about the start of it. And I try to at least get a couple of competitions in a year.
Yeah.
There was a little gap after I got my blue belt between leaving the police department and going back to the mine and like figuring out jiu-jitsu again.
Yeah.
There was a little bit of a gap between there.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Do we want to talk about that gap?
Let's talk about the gap.
Okay,
Yeah.
the gap,
Yeah.
man. So like when
Yeah.
you're young and you make silly decisions and you feel like you don't have to be accountable for them, I kind of felt like that. I was early 20s, 24. I got my blue belt in 2006, and from 2006 to when I started again in 2011, like the training was really like I'd be popping it over here. Like I wasn't the things unfolded at Warrior Spirit where I didn't come back, right?
Yeah.
I left, or I was told not to come back.
Mhm.
And just realizing like I needed jiu-jitsu in my life. So like running a little bit of stuff here, and it wasn't even really running anything. It was like, hey, like they knew I trained. Like, hey, let's go roll over here on the freaking puzzle mats at the gym, and we'll destroy the mats and try to put them back together. And I didn't even feel welcome at De Brazil, just the way things kind of unfolded at that time. So like it was really sporadic here and there, and I kind of almost forgot about that part of jiu-jitsu. Like I think I realized it wasn't gonna be part of my life, so I picked up paintball. So I picked up paintball.
Do you remember Westworld?
No.
Oh, there's a big paintball place out on like Rittenhouse.
Yes.
Yeah.
I've never been out there, but I think I've drove past it.
They had like a junkyard and like with cars and everything.
Yes.
I used to go there when I was in high school. I loved that.
Fun.
That was so much fun.
Paintball is another expensive hobby.
Yeah, dude.
It can be for sure. Yeah.
Yes. I think it's more expensive than jiu-jitsu because, I mean, like you're always having to upgrade your gear. You have to buy paint, and paint's free and expensive.
It's like $50 to $100 just
for
to
a
paint.
box. Yeah.
Wow.
So eventually 2011 came back around, and I figured out like I needed jiu-jitsu in my life, and like the first marriage finally got okay with reintroducing that again, and that's when we started Full Charge. So and that was when I started training a little bit more. That's when Shay came into the picture with training up there and working that wacky schedule in that MMA gym right there across from the railroad tracks. Cold, no heater, no AC.
Let's go.
Let's go. It was the old karate puzzle mats that were like probably about that thick, and they'd fit in and
They
Toe
destroy all your
breakers.
keys.
Hit the toe breakers.
Yep.
yes. Yeah, rusty mats are tough for jiu-jitsu, man. Like my freaking pinky toe, man. I think the first 2 years I had that sucker taped because it was always getting popped out.
Yep.
For me, it was like the second toe, like not the big toe, but the second one would get snapped right back.
Oh.
And you'd hear it pop. You're like, oh, just keep going. Shut up. Just keep. Yeah.
And that was, can we keep going?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I want to hear about it. Yeah.
All right. So 2011. So like I knew I wanted to train, and getting it reintroduced and being able to do it again. I needed a professor. Like I really felt like I needed to go down and like talk to Martin, and just the way things unfolded earlier years ago, and why I never came back. Like the police, like there's a lot of police officers in the academy down there.
Yeah.
And being in that department and like working in that community, like I felt like I betrayed them, and I felt like I didn't belong anymore. And I thought like I'd have a target on my back. And working through that, like, and reaching out to Martin, and it was funny because I think that was when COVID happened, not COVID, the first recession or whatever, 2008, 2009.
Oh,
yeah,
yeah.
when all that kind of like
the housing market crash.
Yes. So the mine went through a big layoff, huge. I think we laid off like 1,500 people, and like they restructured crews, and like they shut down a lot of equipment. And luckily I was able to freaking stay on. So like there was no more overtime. So I'm like, I need something to do.
Yeah.
So like, okay, I guess I'm going to go down to Tucson and try to reintroduce myself down there to Martin's. The first time he wasn't there, I'm like, oh, So I just roll in, did the whole thing, took my white belt, took the stripes off, went into class, stood on the right side over there with all the white belts, and went through class. I think it wasn't until the next week later, a couple weeks later, he comes in. I was able to come down and train like a Thursday night, and there was a Friday morning class. So I would stay the night and then pop in Friday morning and then take off back to Morenci.
When you say stay the night, where were you sleeping?
Tucson.
Okay.
We actually had a friend in Casa Grande, so I would I'd stop, train, drive to Casa Grande, stay the night there, and then come back in.
Still an hour.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Each way.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I think Martin finally popped in. Here's the thing, too. When I went in, nervous as shit. Like, I was scared. And it really surprised me, and it made me realize it wasn't as bad as I thought it was.
Mm.
When I popped in, like, hey, aren't you Granger? I'm like, yeah. Dude, like, where have you been? I'm like,
wow.
What? Like, I thought I was going to get freaking my head torn off.
You built this whole thing in your head.
I did. And everyone's like, hey, man, like, where have you been? Like we knew you, of you, because we would pop down there every once in a while, and, like, they knew who we were. And, like, it was like a relief, man.
Yeah.
Honestly, it was like, oh my gosh, like, I totally made this all up in my head, and it was completely like the opposite. And that really kind of like eased me a bunch.
Yeah.
And and then I popped back in. Martin's like, what weren't you a blue belt?
Tell me more about that feeling before we move on. Tell me more about that feeling. Like that. What did you feel when they said, like, you know, because the typical welcome back to jiu-jitsu kind of reading is like, hey, where you been? Man, you got fat. You know, we always just like, you know, but what did that feel like? I mean, it had to be completely disarming. I mean, there had to be like a load off your shoulders.
Well, feeling the vulnerability of going in there, I guess it'd be like anybody new starting out jiu-jitsu, what that would feel like. And I never felt that, because, like, the way I came into it was like kind of like a super close group, like, oh, hey, just come over to doing some garage stuff. Mm-hmm. So, like, coming into an academy with that baggage was like, oh man, I don't know what to expect other than maybe getting my head killed, because, like, just because of that community, right? And like, they all back up each other, and I get that, but then being responded with that, I was like, what? For a second there, I was like, wait a second, this is not what I expected at all.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how else to really go into it, but, like, it was just a relief to understand, like, hey, like, they were curious on where I was at too. And, like, just the community of jiu-jitsu in general, right?
Yeah.
Kind of like really was a boost right there.
Yeah. Like a whole separate from, like, the police, like,
oh yeah.
brotherhood,
Oh,
right?
of course. Yes. Yeah. Yes. Night and day.
Yeah.
From what I was expecting to happen.
Yeah.
And what happened. It was cool.
Yeah. That's cool.
Awesome.
I'm sorry. So he asked you if, weren't you a blue belt? What did you say to that?
So I'm like, yeah. He's like, well, I saw you roll around, like, you're good. Go put it back on. And this was before the class. I spoke to him in his office before, and he's like, weren't you a blue belt? I was like, yeah. Put that thing on. I saw you roll. You're doing fine. So, like, I had my belt in my bag, and, like, at the beginning of class, like, just the week before, they see me on the white belt side, and then I put my blue belt on and go to the other side. Like, it was kind of weird.
Yeah.
But I was like, okay, like, there's some acceptance here.
Yeah.
And, like, okay, like, maybe I'm not starting over from scratch, but I kind of am.
Yeah.
But that was it. Getting back with Martin and just being supportive of them down there and coming down when I can. And then the whole piece about, like, I need to train. I'm like, I need a logo. Like, we need something.
Yeah.
So, like, I'm thinking, De Brazil, there's a ton of bulldogs running around.
Yeah.
Carlson Gracie and Martin's got the De Brazil bulldog.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I don't know if I want a bulldog, man. Cause, like, I went to school at the Sapper High School with the bulldogs. So I'm like, I can't do the bulldog. I'm like, God, do I want a shark? Like, I'm kind of like thinking of these animals and everything. And somehow I've always been intrigued with the rhino.
Yeah.
And, somehow, I don't know, I don't remember how Full Charge came about, other than maybe just thinking about it, and, like, rhinos, how they're always moving forward, and they were putting their head down and they're always going. And eventually it kind of turned into Full Charge, the logo creation is really fun.
Yeah.
At the time, I found this logo off the internet that I liked a lot. And working the mine, shift work and with the shovels and rubber tires, and during that phase when everything's kind of really down, slow going, I heard one of the guys on my crew, he said he was a tattoo artist. So like he was doing, I was like, hey, and I went to school with Champ, and I'm like, Champ, I got this picture and I got this logo. Like, can you draft something up? So he freaking threw it together on paper, and really liked the way that the concept came around with the full charge, and then yeah, it came from a tattoo artist, man. He freaking drew it up.
That's so cool.
And then I really liked the way it was, and I ended up taking it down to CMI. It's a little quick copy shop there in town, and let their digital guy like basically draw it out on however that however they do that.
Yeah.
And then they kick it back, and I'm like, it's freaking awesome. We changed the fonts here and there a little bit, and the colors. Yeah, that was kind of like the birth of Full Charge. And like, we've had, I think the original, when we did our 10-year shirts, we did the original version with, we had the Brazil and the American flag kind of like crossed behind the rhino.
Yeah.
And then we did the what it is now. Just I guess you'd call it the circular logo.
Yeah.
But yeah, the
one on your shirt?
Yes, this one right here. That's the one. That's the I guess second OG.
I love it.
But yeah, that was it. And then just figuring out how do I keep training? How do we for me to learn, for me to be involved in jiu-jitsu, I had to teach. And thinking about who wants to learn from a blue belt. People coming in, like, I need to teach, like, how do I teach something that I'm still learning? Like, like you really, like a scissor sweep. It's something you just did.
Yeah. Yeah.
And now I have to tell someone how to do this.
Right. Yeah.
While I'm in the position, because there's not many people around watching it.
Yeah.
And so all these schools that pop up, like we have a couple popping up in Graham County that the jiu-jitsu, they don't have a lot of experience. Like their rank's really low.
Yeah.
And it's easy to like, oh, they don't, but like, dude, like I was there.
Yeah.
Like, I'm just happy people are training.
Yeah.
It's kind of really changed my mindset. I'm like, oh, you got this guy popping up over here and they're doing this. I'm like, honestly, dude, I'm like, it's tough. Like one day, hopefully he finds a professor.
Yeah.
But like, I get it. Like I started as a blue belt and you have to build and like, like I get it. So
yeah,
I'm a little bit more easier than talking about stuff like that.
Sure. Yeah.
Because like I was there, like, I hope they make it. Good luck.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good luck. So
yeah. And that's part of building that community, right? I mean, you're for all intents and purposes, other than what was the first gym that I can't remember the name.
Warrior Spirit.
Warrior Spirit. I mean, you're kind of the staple now of that area. You guys are the staple. So, I mean, to see other people I think when other people see you guys and the success that you're having, they're like, well, maybe it's doable. Right. And that's cool that you have that impact on people. Right.
Never thought of it like that.
Well, maybe one day they'll come up to you and be like, dude, I would have never done this if I didn't see your example.
Yeah.
You know, and that's really what you're doing. I mean, small town Arizona, I mean, you really got to hustle to make it happen. Right. Yep. And you guys are making it happen. That's really cool. Yeah. So, now, when did you get your blue belt, Shay?
I got my blue belt, was it 2014?
I think it was before we were divorced. I think it was
2013.
Not them from their exes.
Yeah, from their exes.
Yes,
they're still together.
Was it?
Because one was Jet because I got my purple belt in 16 because I got my purple belt when I was right when I just gotten pregnant. So I bet I had my blue belt 13, 14.
Late 13, 14, or early 14, I think.
Something like that.
Yeah, okay. Usually when Hay
and so we
down.
were, I was definitely competing.
Yeah.
And, we decided we wanted, I didn't compete my purple belt years. Because I just had my little one.
Yeah.
And COVID.
And then, COVID. And then COVID. Got back in shape, decided to have another one. Got my brown belt. got to compete. It was hard because I felt dominating with my blue belt.
Yeah.
And I was also considered a master's in my blue belt, but competing it as an adult. So
Yeah.
in my head, I'm like, oh, I'm bad. I'm bad. I'm competing
Watch
with
out.
the young ones.
Yeah,
yes.
yeah, yeah.
So to then compete as my first competition as a brown belt, man, you're not in competition mode anymore after you haven't competed in a while.
Yeah.
And I didn't compete as a purple belt. It was like the match was going, and right as it ended, I woke up.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh yeah, we're competing.
Yeah.
My next time around, I'm ready, and I'm doing everything I need to do to prepare. And about 30 seconds into the match, I go to do a throw, and I tear my ACL.
Yeah, I remember that.
Mm-hmm.
So, just with work and everything, I just barely actually had surgery. I'm right around 15 weeks out.
What?
Yeah.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, you waited. That's
Yeah,
right.
I had to wait. Just some things happened with work. I ended up having to switch jobs. So, I just recently had my surgery in December. So to some degree, I haven't gotten back to competing. Mm-hmm. So I feel like I'm going to start my new competition career as a brand new black belt.
That's awesome.
That's how it goes. No matter what, even if you were ready.
Do it.
It's a whole new world.
It's a whole new world.
Yeah,
Especially as a
let's just
master's
start all
athlete.
over.
Yes.
Yeah.
You're a master's athlete. You have
So-
people that have been black belts forever.
Yeah.
Oh my
Yeah.
gosh, that's a
Yeah, so we'll just see what happens.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How's it feel?
Every week is better.
Yeah.
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 Range
Every
of
week
motion
is
getting better, stuff
Range
like
of
that.
motion's getting better. Initially, it was pretty funny. Like that first, I don't. After you go through the surgery and you see, oh my gosh, this is a lot worse than or a lot. I guess it was harder than I thought it was gonna be. I've had some other surgeries, but I was like, so I didn't think it was gonna be that hard.
That
And I
one's
guess I was
serious,
younger,
yeah.
during those surgeries. And then I have the surgery. I'm like, oh crap, this is a little hard to recover from.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I go back and see the surgeon, and he's like, yeah, this range of motion's no good. If you don't get this better in the next, he's like, I'll give you a month, and if it's not better, I'm going to put you back down, and I'm going to force it.
Oh no.
And so I was like, oh crap.
Like go back in?
Yes, go back in, and he said that he's going to put me under and basically like force it.
Force it, yeah.
And he's a big guy, and I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, crap.
You ain't
I don't
touching
want
this
him to
leg,
force
pal.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
Have you ever seen videos of orthopedic surgery? They're like hammers and drills.
Oh, I
So-
know. It sounds like a freaking
Wild.
construction.
So
Yeah.
like between like Granger and I got back into I've been doing some yoga, and one of my this guy I do yoga with saw me at the gym, and he's like, why haven't you come back to yoga? And I'm like, well, I really can't, he's like, you have no excuse. He's like, get back into yoga. And so between the yoga instructor and Granger like pushing, when I went back to see the ortho, he's like, oh, you caught up. All
Oh,
right.
good.
Okay.
What kind of do you
Holy
know
crap.
specifics on your surgery? Was it like a full reconstruction, or is it?
I got a full cadaver.
Okay,
Yeah,
okay, yeah.
So I
wasn't sure if it was like a partial tear or like full.
No, it was full.
completely
It
messed
was
up.
completely.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
And I will give like 2 thumbs up to the Anaconda man.
Yeah.
Because I tore it in April, and I trained with a tore ACL.
You're talking about the knee brace.
That
Yes.
knee brace. With
Yeah.
that knee brace, from April to December, I just wore that knee brace. And granted, I couldn't do everything.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Boy, did that. Well,
Whatever.
to some degree, you thought, I was
Like
fighting.
whatever, your ACL is not messed
So,
up.
Yeah,
so
man,
there
that
was.
Anaconda was awesome.
I got to check that out because I've been training on a bum knee for a couple months.
Man,
so
it's
I gotta
beautiful.
check
I
it.
will never not wear that Anaconda
That's
for
awesome.
the rest of my life.
If I remember right, you got hurt. They stopped. The medic
Oh yes,
came over.
yes, yeah.
and
the
then
medic
you
came
finished
over.
the match,
Well,
right?
because I thought I was like, I really hurt myself because I mean immediately when it tore, because I finally got grips on this girl. I went to lean or to step in to throw, and I hyperextended. It tore it immediately. It was on the ground.
Yeah.
They check it out, and so I think I'm like going over with the medic to like continue like maybe icing it or something.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like trying to hobble over there. The ref comes up to me. He's like, so are we going to do this match? And I'm like, wait, what? He's like, well, I'll have you sitting down. And I'm like, well, because I can't stand. And so
That sounds like a good compromise.
I know. And so I was like, okay. And like, honestly, like that was probably stupid. I should have said no. But
Yeah.
I guess
You know, once it's torn, you can't really tear it anymore.
Well, I had a similar thing. Like, so I tore my LCL at the Phoenix Open one year. Like the first year they brought it back to Phoenix, and I popped it. I was doing the Matrix, where you throw the leg behind his thigh or whatever, and my leg pops, and he looks down at me. He's like, "You okay?" And I was like, "Am I okay?" So we both kind of disengage. I stand up. We have not communicated with the ref at all. We just the competitors had stopped the match, and I'm walking I think it feels okay. I don't know. And then the ref's just like, "Are you guys gonna go again?" Or basically get back. And I'm like, "No, I think I'm fucked. I think my knee's fucked." So I'm we called the match. I didn't jump back in like you did, and went straight to the medic and iced. And turned out I completely tore my LCL. But
Yeah.
Masters, was it a Masters match?
yeah, Masters 1, yeah,
That's
or two.
I think that's the coolest thing about the Masters is we're always looking out for each other. Yes, we're trying to beat each other up. We're trying to tap each other out. But we notice if something's not in the right spot before and we're trying to avoid there's I've commented it's just about awareness, right? And it's just your jiu-jitsu, how long you've been doing it. Okay, he swept me. Does he even know his foot is cockeyed this way?
Right.
If he lands on it, he's gonna completely twist his knee.
Yeah.
So you try to raise your hips up so you don't put that pressure on it or something. But the whole thing about we know we have to go back to work on Monday.
Yeah.
And
You'll roll with an adult, and they're folding their knee in half. You're like, "Dude, you're gonna blow your knee out," and they're like, "I'm fine.
I don't care. I don't care."
Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
That's true though. That's really true. I mean, it was what's his name? Bryce. He's one of the refs for the AZ BJJ tournaments. He's there all the time, and he gives me the nod every once in a while because that was supposed to be that was at brown belt. That was supposed to be my last brown belt. Hurrah before I got my black belt.
Yes.
I get hurt, and I'm like, "Paul, don't promote me yet. I want to do one healthy." Yeah.
Yes.
So, I mean, I guess some of us. Well, there's that one guy. Do you see that one where that guy jumps guard and snaps that guy's knee?
Yeah.
And he's just whatever.
Yeah. Yeah, it's wild, man. Yeah.
But most Masters athletes, I feel take care of each other.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of times you catch a knee to the head or, something just,
Your head hit my knee.
Yeah, whatever.
Yeah.
But, I mean, we'll continue, the match continues, but there's some conversation happening, you good? Yeah, I'm good. I mean, you just keep going, you know? It's a really cool thing because I tell my students all the time, there's an anxiety that happens right before you go onto the mat, especially if you've never competed with somebody before. You're you have no idea what they're capable of or what they're going to do. And I mean, sometimes you can watch film, but you can't feel it. You can't feel film, right? You can see it.
It's game speed.
Yeah. But I always tell them all that anxiety, all that fear that you feel at the end of that timer, there's a lifelong friend.
Yeah.
There's a lifelong friend at the end of that timer. It's I mean, you can't help it. There's guys that I haven't competed with since we were blue belts that we still see each other at Masters Worlds and we're it's like a family reunion. Yep. You know what I mean? Oh my gosh, how's it going?
Because you went up in weight, right? So he can't.
So I can't. I'm running away. I'll get as fat as I have to.
I think there's a lot to do with if you go to especially 3, 4, what are you, 6? Master
8. Yeah,
Masters
8
8
next week. Yeah.
But the higher
No.
but the higher up you go, the fewer actual competitors you have. So you kind of want to be buddies. So you can message a guy and be like, "Yo, I'm going to do San Diego.
Yeah.
Can you want to do it too?"
Yeah.
I'm sure you were talking about when you were a Masters athlete competing at adult. You almost don't even have a choice as a woman, especially back then.
Yeah, especially back then. I would
Yeah,
say.
and even right now, there's a lot of Tiffany's trying to compete. She's light feather, Masters 3. But she's I can't find anybody to compete against.
Yeah.
You pretty much get worlds. That's it.
Yeah.
Master Worlds is
And
the only
that's
thing.
so difficult going from, because that intensity at Masters Worlds is the next level, right? Even though we're all Masters athletes, still just the environment that you're in. There's 10,000 competitors on that weekend, so it's electric, right? And you're kind of nervous, and the bullpen is jam packed with people, and you don't know when you're going to go until they look at you and be like. And you're like, oh shit, here we go. You know what I mean?
Then it gets real.
Then it gets real. But if you don't have those reps, right, you got to get those reps where things go wrong. Between matches at a local tournament, if your body doesn't quite feel right, you can kind of make a mental note. And you get to Masters and your body doesn't quite feel right. I'm I'm good. I'm okay. This happens, right? But you won't know that unless you have those reps. That's what makes it so difficult for Amy. And by the way, Amy's one regret at brown belt is that she didn't get a match with you because you guys were in the same bracket.
Yeah.
And I think Amy pulled out the week of. I can't remember why, but she was pretty pissed.
Yeah,
She was
there
scared.
was. I think there was a
Chicken. Amy chickened out.
Yeah, I think that maybe you guys had a vacation
think
for
we
a
left
tournament.
we left town, yeah.
And then I think that she was doing a tournament. I think we had soccer. It just never quite.
Yeah, never quite happened.
Yeah.
But you never know, black belt, you guys could
Yeah.
meet up at black belt. So, yeah.
Yep.
And you talked about not competing at purple and then, competing at just once said brown?
I got 2 at Brown.
Two
And
at Brown.
again, I signed up for more.
Yeah, yeah.
But they wouldn't work out. Just like you're saying, there's just not very
Limited.
many females.
Yeah.
But there's things like, I think you guys do it the right way, because anytime I look at the roster, I always know when you're going to do a competition because you sign up right away.
Yes.
Right? And you do too when you're going to do one.
Yep.
So I think that's the right thing to do, especially as a masters athlete, especially as a woman. Like people are like, oh, there's nobody in my division yet. Throw your name out there.
Yeah. So they know to sign up.
Yeah, maybe there's 10 women sitting there like, oh, shoot,
Yeah.
she's in. Like, I'll sign up too,
Yeah. Lead by example. Right?
Yeah, lead by example.
Yeah.
I mean, that's really, think about Masters Worlds, 10 years ago when we were out there watching our professors compete, right? There were like 5 men in the bracket.
Right.
It wasn't 45 like it is today. You know what I mean?
That's crazy, man.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's like 5, maybe 10. I mean, it wasn't what it is now,
Right.
Yeah.
right? But they paved the way for us to have the big brackets.
Yep.
Mhm.
Right.
Sure.
So I think that's really important. And, I remember 2000, maybe 16 or 17, we were at Pans and the big, hoopla was about the women saying we want our own divisions because they had 2.
Yeah.
They had Masters 1, Masters 2. That's all they get.
Oh, wow.
And they had these, 40-year-old women going against, 31. It's not
No,
the
it's not
same.
easy.
It's
Yeah.
not the same. So they were like, we want our own divisions. And the IBJJF is like, oh, you're going to have the smallest brackets. They're like, fine. And they don't. At the big tournaments, they get decent brackets now.
Wow.
But those were the women that said, hey, we're not going to do this. Like, we want our own,
Good.
And there's a woman, I think her name is, I'm going to screw it up. It's either Yvette or Yvonne Duarte. She's a coral belt. And she was the first woman to go to Helio and not Helio. Who's the one that created like the competition? I think it might have been Helio, but she went to the highest level, at the highest rank, and been like, hey, I want to compete. At the time, they were not even allowing women to compete.
Wow.
So she paved the way for you guys to have even brackets. You know what I mean? So there's always got to be a first, right? Be the first to put your name out there. Maybe people will sign up. Be the first, be the first, be the first. I can't emphasize that enough, and like I'm Masters 15, I'm Masters 5 now. And I literally have to message people like, hey, are you signing up? Are you doing this? Are you doing that? Because we just don't have enough people. At the last Phoenix Open, I had 2 people in my bracket that I'd never competed against. I'm like, oh, thank God.
Yeah.
Like, finally, right?
It's not Doug.
It's not Doug. I'm tired of getting my ass kicked by Doug.
Looks better, competes better.
Son
God
of a
damn
bitch.
it.
Has nicer hair. I hate that guy. I hate him. But I was going to ask you something. Competing. So
We just went over this.
yeah. So at the black belt level, I never realized how different it would be. I knew it would be different, but like my first competition was my first competitor was a guy named Troy Acker, and Troy had won, Nogi Worlds. He was like been around a long time, 3-stripe black belt. And I'm like, holy crap. And I won the match because he got DQ'd. But Troy and I still talk. He and I have competed a few times, and we still see each other at Master Worlds, and it's like, oh my gosh, how you doing? Kind of thing, right? But I guess what I'm saying is, like, as you're, what Masters are you?
Will I be
3?
You're 3.
Yeah.
3.
So the last 2 Masters Worlds ago, I shook hands with Rodrigo Medeiros on the mat. We competed against each other. He's the founder of BJJ Revolution.
Mm-hmm.
Those are the people that you're going to be, the people that YouTube and
Legends,
look up
man.
to.
Yes, yeah.
You're like, I'm shaking his hand going,
No stress.
Yeah.
I'm shaking his hand going, do you realize who you are, dude? And I lost, but there was it was a fun match.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just one of those things. Like, as you go in there, you're like looking at this person's, pedigree, and you're like, he's been a black belt longer than I've been doing jiu-jitsu by a mile,
Yeah.
It's crazy because I have Q always in my division at Master Worlds.
That's-
right. So I'm like, we already know where that's going. But then I also had like Demetrius Johnson at Mighty Mouse that was in my
gosh.
bracket.
Yeah.
Yeah. He was on the other side of the bracket, but it was just like, it's crazy. Like Master Worlds, you just run into like legends of the sport and, of MMA too, because they're all doing jiu-jitsu too, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. One year, I had Jose Carlos in my division, and I would have had to won 3 matches to get to the quarterfinal where I would have fought him, and I lost my third. But I showed him a picture of me at one of his seminars as a white belt and another one as a blue belt.
Oh, wow.
And I was like, I'm in the same bracket with this guy.
Gosh,
He's like, I'm still not going to take it easy.
Yeah. He's like, I'm still going to kill you, yeah.
Awesome.
He's a nice guy though too.
He's a great guy. Yeah. I've rolled with him several times.
He seems to stop in every time he's in town.
Yeah.
So.
But it's I think it's important that you do it. Because like you believe it or not, you're paving the way for all the little girls that are in that line.
For sure.
You're paving the way for them.
For sure.
And that means something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Putting a lot of stress on her today.
Time to apply the pressure. Yeah. So tell me about the future of Full Charge. What do you guys think? What do you guys want to do? Are you good? Are you thinking about expanding, opening another location?
We've been really strategic on expanding, and like when we opened the school up, because it's a small community, we see a lot of these little mom and pop stores or things opening up, and then like a year later they're closed down.
Yeah.
And one of our kind of main things when we started this, I told Shay, I'm like, we're not going to be the next the next closed down business in the Gila Valley. We're not going to do that. So like we started small, like really small. And we made sure that we were over where we were at. Yeah. It was never, and it kind of goes against the grain a little bit. Like you want to build and then be able to have the room for more people come in. But it's always been the other way around, because we never wanted to we never want to bite more than we could chew. Yeah. And it could definitely be easy to do that in this industry. But from us, it was always, look, we're going to start small. Like we've got to outgrow this, and before we go bigger, like we're gonna try to jam more people in, so that way when we do expand, like we have room to move. Yeah. And I think we've taken that mentality since day one, and like we started, like we always joke around, like when the things pop up on Facebook or whatever, or even with new people coming in, or like even if we're on the mats, we'll look at the mats and be like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 13, like Shay, like this is where we started.
13
like,
mats.
We had we had 13 mats. This
like,
is
it was hilarious.
This
like,
is where we started.
It was hilarious.
And then we moved to the next place. So like one year we were in a little, basically a barbershop spot. 13 mats. I think we could do 6. We have 6 adults, 8, 10 max adults doing drills back and forth. Yeah. Live rolls, you're only getting 2 to 3 matches going at the same time. Kids, it was funny. Like it's amazing how far we've come from the small mat to where we're at right now. And it's just, I think we want to keep, like, eventually that's the end game for me and for us. Like I want to be able to do this full time, and it's just grinding it out now and just building that community, the school, the academy. But building like your players too, like your jiu-jitsu people that are going to be around the community, like if they're involved with it, like, and it's something that we don't ask them, but like they want to be part of. Yeah. Like the expectation is like the white belts clean up the mat when they're done. Yeah. And then eventually like the blue belts show them how to do that. And then eventually the white belts are doing it. And then they start teaching the new people coming in, just kind of like the way everything kind of goes. Like the blue belts help the new white belts because, buddy, you're a white belt too. And you had someone showing you, like, it's kind of like pay it forward. Yeah. Yep. And, like we're getting some colored belts that desire to help teach. So that really makes it easy. We've had some people popping for the adults, not for the little rhinos. Like I've done the little rhinos. That's a whole other story too. What time is it?
I don't know. It's almost noon.
It's almost noon. We got to leave at 12:30.
That should be fine. Yeah.
Or maybe 1 pushing it.
Yeah.
Okay. We'll get you out of here by 12:30.
Yeah. The COVID was a whole thing too, but I think our main thing is just not taking more than we can handle, being lean, running really lean. Like if we have a bunch of, because you see it, the door is like if I tell everyone, look, if I kept half the people that signed up, like I would need a basketball sized gym.
Yeah.
Like
yeah.
I could quit.
Yeah.
But like the turnover is incredible, and to be able to figure out how to keep that. Right?
Yeah.
Keep people in the door. It's
Well, we've also tried to balance price even because we want people to be able to afford to be able to do it.
Yeah.
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 And like I think that we could actually charge a lot more.
Mm-hmm.
I think that our we charge probably, we're cheaper than dance, we're cheaper than gymnastics, we're cheaper than wrestling, we are definitely cheaper than karate.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because we want them to be able to do it.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, I guess it's that, and it's so important to us to try to like expose people to jiu-jitsu that we try our best to, I guess, limit the amount of profit.
Yeah.
Well, you like are more passionate about sharing jiu-jitsu than trying to be
so.
rich off of jiu-jitsu.
I guess so.
Yeah.
Which is, I think that's how
I don't know
you
how
become
often
successful.
I'm like, Granger, she's a single mom and she has this many children.
Yeah. We all have that battle. It's tough, man. It's tough. And you know, I understand like people's needs change, and you know they need to do other things, and I get it, right? But it's the kids that I can see them making progress, and the parent doesn't see what I see, and they're like, oh, but he's just not into it. He's just whatever, and we're gonna pull him out. He's gonna do something different. I'm like, 3 months ago, this kid wouldn't even fight back.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? This kid was just falling. Yes. And now he's like creating these frames, and he's pushing he's not winning by any sense, right? But he's adapting. He's overcoming this little adversity, little bit by bit. And if you quit watching him like a lab rat, maybe he'll blossom into something different, right? Because the parents that I find the parents that are like overly critical of their kids, I mean, they stress me out. First of all, they stress me out. But like, they're like, oh, they should be better than this. Well, number one, they're in a padded room. Number two, they got different people telling them what to do. Number three, they've got this outfit on that they don't even know. It takes time to adapt to all of these things. Mm-hmm. This is not a natural thing. That thing that you guys said about your kids getting their blue belt, that is not just important, it's critical. Because if somebody grabs them one day, it's not going to be like a shock. It's going to be like, what do you want? Like, do you realize that this is really bad for you? Right? It's a different mentality, right? But in the beginning, when they got grabbed or when they got pulled, or when somebody grabbed their neck and pulled them over, it's shocking.
Yes.
It's really shocking. And they have to like realize like, okay, that sucked, but I'm okay. You know what I mean? But it takes time to get there. And those are the ones that like, man, I'm looking, I was like, the kid is making improvement and you're going to stop him now? Gosh, that's really frustrating for me. It really, or the adult that's insanely happy. They light up the room when they walk in and they're freaking friends with everybody, and then they quit. You're like, what?
Yeah.
Well,
okay. All right.
To that kid that it's not developing, I think what the problem is, like a lot of parents see like, you know, football, basketball, soccer, coaching, and it's like you're kind of like able to play like within the first year.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
But like jiu-jitsu, it's like you're not like, it takes 10 years for most people to become an expert at it. Like, you know, to become a black belt, right?
Yeah.
It's like there's so much skill that you have to learn to be like competent at jiu-jitsu, like to be like truly competent at jiu-jitsu. And it doesn't happen in like a couple of weeks, you know, which a lot of parents are like, oh, you just do a couple drills and you should be able to, you know, handle yourself. It's like, nope, doesn't work like that, unfortunately.
Completely agree.
Yeah. And then there's some parents who are like, yeah, the kid is not athletic, but he's going to do it. He's going to, this is what he does now. And you're like, okay, cool. You know what I mean? And they just, they develop and they overcome a lot of stuff. And I guess one thing that people forget is like, if you're going to do jiu-jitsu, or really any technical endeavor, you're going to suck for a couple years. You're going to suck real bad for a couple years.
Or more.
Right? Or more. Yeah, depending.
When do you not suck?
Oh, shit.
When does that happen?
That hasn't happened for me yet. But you're going to suck for a couple of years before you're competent, right? And it's all about mat time. And if you limit that mat time, it's going to take longer.
Yep.
Yeah.
You know, so yeah, sorry.
We see it. No, that's fine. And we see it with the kids that do baseball and soccer. yeah, because there's other sports going on, little leagues going on right about now, and softball, and then you have the dance kids that do dance and gymnastics, and the kids that come once a week, like you kind of forget that they're there, but then they pop in, you're like, oh yeah, they had cheer on Monday, and then there's something else going on over here, like they're like the kid that comes in 3 times a week, like they're gonna start roasting your kid, man. And I hate to say that, but it's true. And the parents, for the longest time, we didn't have signs that said parents stop coaching from the sideline. There was I think a new person, and then there was another mom that was coaching her kid. Hey, get her back and choke her out. And the other mom was like she's trying to coach my kid, tell her to choke her out. I'm like I've been trying to put off of her for a long time. I'm like, I guess I'm just going to put these signs up.
You have
parents,
to.
no coaching from the sidelines. And that's the whole COVID with Jade and expectations with the little ones, and like understanding like they're doing something completely brand new. Like Jade, like I wanted her shrimp so bad. Like I'm like, okay, you need to do this, honey. You need to like push your hips out and like put your feet here and like move your hips away. Like you have to turn to your side. Like I wanted her shrimp so bad that it was giving me anxiety, and like she's my kid, like the instructor's kid. Like she needs to know how to do this. And I think once I understood that, look, man, she just started walking maybe 3 years ago. Like I'm expecting this magnificent stuff to happen, and like she's still figuring it out. I mean, you see it when you ask them to do skips, and like the lack of PE in schools now, like kids don't know how to skip. Like you ask them to skip and you're like, what in the world is that? I mean, it's that development of like motor skills. And one day she just started shrimping. I was like, oh my gosh, there it is. Like I kind of left her alone. I kind of left her alone, and she freaking clicked on her own, and next thing she's freaking shrimping down the mat. I'm like, perfect.
Yes. Well, if you take a group of like 7-year-old girls and a group of 7-year-old boys, and you're going to see, okay, which one is more likely to be the blunt objects? You know what I mean? It's going to be the boys. The girls pick it up. They pick it up, and the boys are just knuckleheads, but they I think it's important like both sides, because I think if we don't teach the young boys to lock horns in a positive way, then it's going to turn into something negative later, right? Because they have no outlet. Like they don't get into fights at school. They don't, get into fights at, in their neighborhoods. They don't ride bikes and jump ramps and, fall on their face like we did. So they need a controlled environment to lock horns and get that, understand that there is a positive way to control someone, I guess, you know what I mean? Like to get that outlet. And I think that's really, really lacking in a lot of other respects. Like if you have a kid, a baseball kid, growing, hormones are going crazy. He gets angry. His outlet is going to be what? Probably punch somebody, right? If he doesn't have self-control. But I think if that kid also does jiu-jitsu, he's going to have that outlet where he understands that like, it could go really badly for me, if I start an altercation with somebody who is just stronger, better, faster than I am. So maybe they'll develop that self-control, right? I that's just my mentality on the whole thing. What do you guys think about that?
Go ahead.
No. I think I have a different perspective because I am a female.
Yeah.
Well, being a father and like growing up and learning experience and stuff like that, you always hear like, girls develop much faster than boys. I'm like, nah, whatever. Like, no way. But having girls, a family of girls, and like teaching, like it was even coaching from coaching soccer kids, and like I wasn't really around a lot of the boys, so like I didn't really have anything until I started doing jiu-jitsu with the kids, and you see the girls and boys do what they can.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
And
they'll get there.
They will. And that's something that we've talked about before. Like when they start picking up with their strength and everything, that's when they're going to start to equal out. But the girls will be more technical all the time. And like, I feel it when I roll with her. Like, I'm like, dude, I'm so glad you're not 200 pounds. Cause like you would be killing me. Yeah. But yeah, like girls do. And like, I forgot what the question was, but
just having that outlet.
Yes, I agree. Boys need to have that because they also need to understand where their boundaries are, and like we don't really much have like a bully prevention program where we talk about it off and on here and there. But I think understanding that confrontation, like, because sometimes I'll put the boys with the bigger girls sometimes, and that helps them choose, like, it's like a business decision, right? Is it worth the risk to freaking do this? This kid's bigger, but then also it gives them confidence too. So it's kind of like on both ends of the coin. But yeah, go ahead.
I guess just for girls though, I just think it's great to know that, like every once in a while I'll be pinned underneath a man and there will be a sense of panic, you know, and, but to know that I can keep moving and I can maybe get out. Yeah. And I just think that's why it's so great for females is, you know, maybe I won't be able to submit you and kill you, but maybe, I can hold on until help can come. Yeah. But there is also a frustration in being a female and having, you know, having the blue belt, the purple belt, the brown belt, and then having that new white male belt come in. And their strength, and them being bigger, and then maybe tapping me, and I'm like, but that was your strength. And so, like, I guess it's actually I've had to work on my ego even, or coming back from a pregnancy, and I'm out of shape, and I should be tapping your butt because you're a white belt, and I'm not. Yeah. You know, so I mean, I've even had to check my ego, and you know, you'll get there. You just, you know, it's jiu-jitsu definitely makes you check your ego.
Yeah, we've talked about it before. It's like one of the lies of jiu-jitsu is like size doesn't matter. It's like,
but it does.
It does. If size knows jiu-jitsu, it matters.
Yeah, it does. It does.
Yeah.
It does.
Yeah, and you know, when I talk about like promotions. You know, especially like going from blue to purple. Because I think white to blue is semi-obvious, right? Someone's ready, but it's still a beginner belt for all intents and purposes, right? Yep. But when you get into that intermediate, you know, intermediate/advanced belt, like when I see people roll and they're making like white belt mistakes, you're probably not ready for your purple belt. You know what I mean? Yes. Like there's little mistakes. The technique is there. Like they have the technique, but they're still making little mistakes. And for me, it's like, if you can't escape a pin, like if you can't get a mount and you can't get out of side control or you can't get out of somebody's back control.
Hey, it's Ramsey.
Well, there's levels to it as well, right? So, like if Josh Cisneros was around when I was coming up, I'd never get promoted one time because he'd fucking smash me.
He beat the shit out of you.
It was like it wasn't even close. It was just awful. He's so talented, but I mean, there's levels to it. But I mean, if you're seeing, you know, two equally paired blue belts, right? And one of them is very obviously not making, you know, dumb mistakes. You're like, okay, I got to keep an eye on him because he might be ready pretty soon, right? I mean, you had an experience like that yesterday with one of my white belts. You meant for you to mention somebody 3 times in 2 hours, he must have done something right.
He was just like, well, I noticed when you guys were doing like the drills and stuff, how he was like. You know how like a lot of times when they just seem like a newborn like fawn where they're just kind of like wobbly, they don't know how to like have their balance when they're practicing a technique, right? He had like he was very specific like where he was going. He was very like confident, I guess. Yeah, it's the wrong word. It's not confident, just like sure-footed was like kind of what I noticed. Yeah. And then when I rolled with him, I noticed the exact same thing. Like he had a plan of where he was going, and he was doing his best to implement that, but like, you know, obviously I got the upper hand on him, but like, it's still like, I noticed that he was like getting where he needed to be, you know, for, you know, his level of skill. Yeah.
And he's got a judo background, so he's not completely lost. Right. Yeah. Right. No. So that helps. Yeah. But yeah, so we're at an hour and a half right now, and I want to be respectful to your time. But one question I want to ask you guys, and I asked this of all the black belts that come on the show, and I want you guys to answer independently. Okay. What do you want all of your black belts to have in common? Like 10 years from now, you got 50 black belts under you. What do you want them to all have in common?
I've listened to your podcast so many times. I knew this question was coming up, and I still have no idea.
Yeah.
What do I want my black belts to have? There's obviously a skill set, right? There has to be a skill set involved with it. there's got to be a piece to character on the individual. And I believe there's got to be some, and I'm just repeating some of the stuff that we on our black belt diploma certificate that we have.
Yeah.
Skill set, and passion. There needs to be a passion, like learning, teaching, and there's a humility, humbleness about it.
Yeah.
That I think that are all traits that a black belt should have. Like, I don't believe they should be arrogant, but they should be confident.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of like your quiet leaders, so to speak.
Mm-hmm.
The ones that answer the bell. I think that's a big one too, is like they got to be able to answer the bell.
Yeah.
Skill, character, integrity, I think goes a lot with that. And there's got to be some trust.
Yeah.
Because like if you're having them cover classes, like you got to trust them to build to like, what are they, it's not so much what they're doing, because you kind of want like them to do something different than what I'm showing, because like they play a different game than what you play, but you've also got to have some trust in what they're doing.
Yep.
Because it's like your academy, like if they're helping, they're part of the, so to speak, hierarchy of leadership that's running the academy, and they see that. But yeah, I think those are the main things.
The humility one is a big one.
That's
I don't think people talk about it enough.
Yeah.
I think there's nothing more cringe than a black belt who's just like, I'm the black belt, everyone needs to move, everyone needs to bow to me, like that kind of shit. It's usually the newer black belts. But then you meet like a guy like Q, who's been a black belt since we've done jiu-jitsu.
Yeah.
He's the nicest guy in the world.
Yeah.
Like he'll have a conversation with anybody.
So Q will sit there, and there'll be a group of us like talking about like the association and, you know, helping expand it and, you know, growing it, or bringing the Arizona Association together.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, we'll be talking about like, I don't know, just in general stuff. And Q will say things like, well, we're all black belts. We're all the same. So we need to make a decision together. And I'm like, first of all, we are not the same. So anyway, but Shay, what's your take on it?
It definitely, you should have some sort of skill set.
Yeah.
I do like your whole trust thing. Wow. Yeah, and a willingness to be able to share your skills with others, and not just keep it for yourself. And I think that's still something that even I struggle with. You know, I'll have mastered a really good move, and man, it works for me all the time. And I don't want to share it, but damn it, I have to share it with you so that you can get better. And I think that you, as a black belt, you should be willing to share your knowledge. And I guess if you're a black belt in any profession, even, you should be willing to share the best qualities you've learned of it with others to make it even better.
Yeah. No, I love it.
Yeah, I think a lot of us get like, I don't want them to start getting me.
Yeah.
But it's like, but that's how you get better.
Yes.
That's how you get yourself better.
That's
is by
how you get
making
yourself
your
better.
Yeah.
Is by making your partners better, for sure. Yeah.
I love teaching the answers to my tricks to my students.
Yep. Yeah. I tell people, like, this is how I retain guard. This is all you have to do to beat it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So that's the only way I'll evolve, you know?
Yeah.
I think that for me, a big part of it is like, if I see somebody mentoring people at an early level, like maybe a purple belt level or a brown belt level, I'm always encouraged by that person. Like that's kind of what I'm looking for. You know, people that show up, train, and leave, they're cool. I love them. You know, they're awesome. But those that show up a little bit early to kind of take that little white belt under their wing, and stay a little bit later to show what they did to that same white belt. I think that's really encouraging.
I'm forgetting his name. That motivational video I like about the one that gets.
Oh, Kyle Terra.
Yeah, Kyle Terra has a video that he talks about when he got his black belt.
Yeah,
and I just think it's
a
the most.
Man.
Yeah,
it is. I just think it's the most beautiful one, and so I guess so. He's just winning all these competitions and winning and winning and winning, and kind of like loses some passion. And his coach says like, okay, why don't you go up a division? He goes up a division. He does not win. And his coach gives him his black belt, and he's like, why did you give me my black belt? I've had all these great happy moments. And he's like, I didn't want to promote you when you were a champion. I wanted to promote you so that you know that you're not. It's just not about being a champion to be a black belt. It's about you also, changing other people's lives. And,
that's cool.
And being a
cool.
teacher,
It's a good
and
video,
it's
man.
just it's.
You'll definitely cry. It's a good one.
Yeah, I'll watch it. I'll watch it
you're,
today.
You're a blubbering baby.
I am.
sometimes.
I'm on the verge of tears all the time. So yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So let everybody know where they can find you on social media.
We have a Facebook page, Full Charge Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. We have Instagram page, same thing. I think it's Full Charge BJJ on Instagram.
Okay.
So we usually post our weekly schedule on the Instagram page. It pops up on the Facebook. If you're in the area, man, pretty easy to get a hold of. Come check us out, man.
Love it.
Awesome.
Love it. All right, guys. Thanks for coming on the show.
Awesome.
I appreciate
Thanks,
you.
guys appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right, everybody. If you love the podcast or if you hate the podcast, please like and subscribe. Please follow us on Instagram. It's the BJJ Foxcast, Facebook, Spotify, YouTube, you name it. We're on there. And Tojo, what can blue belts do?
Beat up everybody.
They can beat up everybody. Thanks, guys.
All right. Thank you.
This episode is brought to you by BioPro Plus. BioPro Plus is the faster, easier, and safer non-synthetic alternative to painful, expensive, and invasive anti-aging hormone treatments. The growth factors in BioPro Plus have the unique ability to regulate and restart the body's natural sex hormone production, and it also assists in raising glutathione levels, improving immune response, repairing DNA, promoting enhanced protein absorption, and supporting self-differentiation and proliferation. I don't know what any of that means, but I can tell you this. I've been using this stuff for about a year, and my ability to recover is through the roof. I'm training jiu-jitsu 3 times a week. I'm lifting weights 2 times a week, and the amount of time it takes for me to recover has reduced significantly. I'm 51 years old, and as an aging grappler, I got to do everything I can to stay on the mats. So I go through a pretty regimented recovery system, and BioPro. I also use the evening version. I forget what it's called, but it's fantastic. Get this stuff. Go to www.bioproteintech.com and put the promo code Foxcast. Promo code Foxcast will get you $30 off your order. Hit them up. You won't regret it.